The President was correct in saying that the current high inflation experience is global. Among our peers, Indonesia's overall inflation climbed to 4.4% in June from 3.6% in May. Meanwhile, Thailand's inflation rate increased to 7.7% in June from 7.1% in May. Inflation in the Eurozone, which includes Germany, Italy, Spain, Italy, etc., stood at 8.6% in June, the highest in 11 years. And meanwhile, in the US, inflation rate reached a 40-year high of 8.6%. Rest assured, the recent acceleration of inflation will be arrested by the government through addressing constraints in the food, energy, and transportation and logistics sectors. Thank you.
Okay guys, so in today's video we're going to talk about the big problem that we have all around the world, inflation. So before 2020, when COVID happened, if I walked around with a bunch of cash in my hands, this was buying a lot more goods and services than what it is now, because prices for everything are going up. Oil prices are going up, food prices are going up, energy prices are going up. Pretty much everything you can think of is going up in value, and that's because of four main reasons. Number one, supply chain issues. So before COVID in 2020, all the richer nations would manufacture their goods in the less developed nations because they could take advantage of cheap labor, and they could import those goods into their country and sell them to their citizens at a higher price to make bigger profits. However, there was a big problem. So during COVID, all the richer countries in Europe and the United States and the west of the world bought all the vaccines so they could vaccinate their populations first and get themselves out of lockdowns. And this strategy meant that the less developed nations were not able to vaccinate their people fast enough, so the factories abroad remained closed. So due to supply chain issues, businesses were not able to produce goods fast enough to meet the demand, and prices for goods went up. Then we have the oil price problem, which is causing petrol prices to be very expensive because of two main reasons. Underinvestment in fossil fuels, because the world is trying to move away from polluting the earth into green energy, so investors have stopped putting their money into oil producing businesses. However, the transition to clean energy hasn't been fast enough, so the demand for oil is still extremely strong, but there's less supply coming onto the market. And then to make things worse, Russia invaded Ukraine, and Russia is the third biggest oil producer on planet Earth. So as punishment to the Kremlin for invading Ukraine, the United States and Europe and other countries around the world sanctioned Russia, which basically meant there was not going to buy oil exports from Russia, which meant there was even less supply of oil coming to the market whilst demand was high. That pushed up oil prices even more. So Russia, angry at the sanctions from Europe, decided to punish Europe by cutting off the gas exports to Europe, which is a big problem because Europe relies on gas exports from Russia, and gas is used to create electricity. So electricity prices have gone up because Russia has turned off the taps. And then to make the war in Russia even more damaging, Ukraine is the biggest exporter of wheat, sunflower oil, and natural fertilizers, which is used to grow food. So now food prices are going up because Russia has blocked the export of grains to the rest of the world, and there's now a food crisis. And there you have it. That's why we have high inflation. Food prices are going up, oil prices are going up, energy prices are going up, and the cost of goods and services are going up because there's a supply chain issue for businesses, and that's why your money has been losing value.